Okay, are there extra ones?
You really need to.
There you go. Well, my name is Michael Howard, and I did an internship at Smoker and Company CPA, as you can see on the thing. Basic information about it is it was located in Lidditz, and I was a tax intern, like I said, and I worked from 8 to 4:30, and those hours got a little bit more little bit stretched near the end of tax season because obviously a lot of returns need to get out. It was both paid and for credit, and my last day was April 15th. I guess my expectations were to assist in the preparation of tax returns and the e-filing and acceptance and rejections of tax returns. I also had other multiple jobs that I worked on throughout my internship. I actually did a forensic accounting group project, which is actually really interesting. I think I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. I said I deal with e-file rejections, which was definitely something that wasn't really hard, but it was just had to be done. And then I did tax notices, which were a big pain. They were probably the worst thing I've ever done in my entire life. But the goals of the internship were, my goals for my internship were to apply my knowledge that I learned in the classroom and just see how everything adapts. Like, you learn so much when you're in a classroom, but using it in an actual internship is a completely different thing. So you learn something in the classroom and you take it with you, but sometimes you can do it a different way than in class, but you still get the same result. And it's just basically finding that medium. And then I wanted to gain more knowledge because I did an internship last year, so I wanted to gain more knowledge about another company or another firm. So I wanted to see what they were like as compared to my other internship. And then the first day, my training session, I got learning about all the software, and it was terrible. The software was a big mess. They tried to give us a tax return to work on, and it didn't work at all. We tried to open up the tax software, and it wouldn't even let us open up the tax return or anything. So basically the whole first day I sat there at my desk and did nothing. Talked to the other interns the entire day. So they tried to give us another simulation to work on, but that didn't work. So the second day of my internship was when I did all my simulation, all my practices and stuff. But they weren't too bad. Beginning of my internship, I learned about the software, which the software we had was Microsoft Outlook, which is our email, DocStar, which is where all our tax returns and such were stored. Practice CS is where I kept my time every time, and Pro Systems is where we did the actual tax returns. And then basically another thing I was doing was just doing assignments that they gave them as they needed, because tax returns weren't coming in until about beginning of February. So they basically had to try to keep us busy. So they just gave us anything that was possibly came up, like if it came up with scanning documents into the system or anything. That's basically what I did for the first couple of days. And the other jobs I performed, I worked on a forensic accounting project. Basically, there was a I'm not talking about it too much because I can't really talk about it, but this guy worked for a company, and his base business was in Virginia, and they had a business in Lancaster, and they had another manager in Lancaster, and he was actually stole money, and he actually ended up stealing $60,000, and me and another intern's job was to figure out how much it actually was. So we ended up figuring out that it was $60,000, and then he has to repay it all. E-file rejections, we just had to figure out why the IRS or PA didn't accept the tax returns at the given time. Sometimes they're just as easy as the spouse's social security number was wrong or the birthdays were wrong, but sometimes they were a little bit more extreme, like maybe that you couldn't have like two health insurance accounts, because the IRS only lets you have one. It's free to e-file. You can have two, but you have to paper file the second one. And then I did tax notices, and I had to figure out why the PA amount was wrong, and basically go into the tax software, figure out where the difference is coming from, and find out if we were liable for the mistake, and if or the PA was liable or the client was liable. And if we were liable, we had to pay the charges. And if obviously the client was liable, then they paid everything to us. And then the last 2 weeks of my internship, I did more tax returns. I prepared a lot of returns to be sent out to the signer so that they would look at and then get all the tax returns out to the clients. I sent e-filing. I did all the other e-filing things, like sending out the e-filings, checking rejections, and filing them away. And then learning experience. For the accounting information, I learned how to do more actual tax returns. I did different things. My first internship, I didn't do farm returns, and this time I actually I was required to do some farm returns. So it was a different atmosphere, and it was definitely a good learning experience. So I enjoyed that a lot. Concept within taxes. If you ever want to do an internship, doing an internship with taxes is probably the best bet you can go. And taking Neil Young's tax class is a really good insight into everything. So I recommend taking that class. Different accounting principles, basically learning everything about tax and everything that I had, because I did the forensic accounting project, so obviously I used some intermediate concepts. I used some financial accounting concepts, managerial concepts to help figure out how much money was actually stolen. And then accounting methods for varied concepts. And then outside of accounting, I learned that time management and organization is key. If you don't organize your time at all, you're probably not going to get a lot of work done. You basically have to scope out everything how you want to do it. I was required to make a schedule and what kind of work I was going to do on that day, and just try to follow that schedule the best I can. And then I also learned communication is key, because the big thing that happened my first day was the manager of my firm didn't talk to any of the tech people, and that's basically why the whole mix-up came up with the practice simulations. So if they just would have communicated there, then everything would have been fine. And there's also incidents where people who were interviewing clients were not asking the right questions, and basically the big thing is that you need to make sure that they're actually asking everything, and when they're asking the questions that they need to ask, and if there's any other questions that they need to know, then they make sure they need to ask them. But yeah, that's my presentation. Is there any questions?
With the forensic accounting situation, would you recommend having more of an auditing background or more of a tax background?
I would say auditing.
And then also, does your company do a lot of that?
Auditing, no.
No, the forensic.
Oh no, it was just a special project. It was just one special project.
Does LBC offer forensic accounting class?
I think they did in the past. They have. I'm not sure if they still do. Professor Science would probably know more
Yes,
about that.
it's been sporadic. Occasionally it's been offered, but not regularly.
I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff, it's a really good. It'd be really good to get into. It's a really good field to get into. So.
And could you say how large your firm was? Was it large?
Well, there's 5 offices that they have. One at Leola, Ephrata, Mannheim, Reading, and Lidditz. And I was in the Lidditz office. My firm probably had maybe 10 or so employees.
Anyone else have a question? Thank you.